Hi everyone, and welcome to this Stage 5 betting preview for Good for the Game. Well, quite a tour it's been so far, I've got to say, from a betting perspective. It hasn't been the best for me. Yesterday's stage really summing up my form at the moment. So near, but yet so far, or at least a few of my bets, and just so far on one of my other big match bets. But we'll get into that. Now, just a reminder, the World Sports Betting Special, we will touch on it later as well. If you back a rider, should I say, and he finishes second, then you will get your stake back as a free bet. So let's move on to yesterday's stage. Primoz Roglic, well, he was simply superb. I know Couch Critic on the Good for the Game forum called him. His team wanted to put their hammer down and just mark some authority. Certainly wasn't a really tough climb at the end. I mean, we had a massive bunch coming together with about 2 kilometers to go. But then there was a real select sprint finish. Roglic, well, he was too strong. This is how he wins a lot of stages, and this is quite frankly how he's planning to win the Tour de France. He gets, of course, the 10-second bonus at the end. Here's the first of our hardline stories. Pogacar, well, he was well beaten by Roglic, but we had him at 11-1 to win the stage. Fortunately, with World Sports Betting, we get our stake back there, but a small consolation, really, when you've got an 11-1 shot beaten into second. Martin, we'll talk about him a little bit now. But very, very impressive from the Cofidis rider. He attacked. He actually got the sprint started. And then at the end of the day, was able to hang on for third, which was pretty impressive. Nairo Quintana caused all sorts of issues in the betting world because there was an interview of his, I think it was the morning before the stage started, saying that he wouldn't be up there, sort of implying he wasn't feeling well. So people absolutely bombed Buchmann to beat Quintana. And then he ended up riding an absolutely superb stage. In fact, you wouldn't really expect Quintana to be that close up there on a stage like this, which doesn't really suit him. It was more of an explosive finish. Julian Alaphilippe, first signs of weakness. I was kind of hoping he might win the stage because, I was hoping that he might shorten in the outright betting and we get a chance to lay him. Miguel Angel Lopez, this was my bet which really hurt. I had him for a podium. He finished sixth, but I'm going to show you something now which will probably explain why I'm feeling. I really thought he had a very strong chance of coming third. The Egan Bernal, not his type of finish either. I think he's doing enough, but there must be some concern about the strength of some of his Ineos teammates. Thibaut Pinot, not too bad from Thibaut, but this is the sort of finish you would expect him to be more explosive on, so probably still not fully recovered from his fall. That was the first thing, was the Pogacar. There's Lopez. I missed out on that. Then I had to look. I had a treble at 38-10, just under 4-1. I had Roglic over Pinot. Tick that box. The next bet, I had Quintana over Buchmann. Tick that box. And finally, I threw in, and this was like, let's just make this price a little bit bigger. We've all done it before. I didn't really have a strong feel, but I said, let's go for Bardet over Uran. So then I'm looking at the results. You can picture me after the stage, and I'm scrolling down. I always do it slowly because I want the suspense there, and I'm hoping to see Bardet's name before Uran. Okay, I'll have to go next rankings here. So I'm scrolling down, and can you believe it? Uran and Bardet, they finished same time next to each other. Uran just slightly ahead, and my treble was gone. My other bet then that I had to look for was I had a big bet on DeMarchi, who I thought would get into the break, over Thomas de Gent, who I really thought would slow pedal on the stage. I saw there was one Lotto rider in the peloton all along, and I was just thinking, please don't let that be Tommy de Gent. And I was scrolling down, looking for DeMarchi and hoping not to see Tommy de Gent. And so far, no DeMarchi. There we go. Thomas de Gent. Can you believe it? The only Lotto rider up there, 153 back. Guys, it was an absolute shocker of a stage for me. But hey, we bounced back. Let's just have a quick look. I want to just try something. I haven't done this on the show before. I want to show the last minute or so of the stage, and I'll just explain to you why I was so depressed with this one. I'm on a site called Velon. They're showing the finish. I'm going to put it in full screen, and we can have a look. So disappointed and missing everything there. But let's get into let's just try. Well, I'm going to shut that down now, and we can get into stage 5. This is 183 kilometers. It should be one for the sprinters, a fairly downhill-looking stage. We've got a sprint of the 47.5 kilometers. It looks like a bit of an uphill. I expect the likes of Trentin and Sagan to go for it. Bennett, I would imagine he'll go for it, but I don't think he'll necessarily win it. I think this could be one that Bennett just wants to coast in and take a few points, because I think he's going to be largely focused on the stage. The sprint teams of Lotto, albeit that they weakened, and Quick-Step should be able to keep probably a week break on hold here. We get to a couple of climbs here, but certainly nothing that the sprinters can't hold on. And unless there's a very strong breakaway, we should have a fairly calm ride in to the last 10 kilometers or so. Of course, then the sprinters' trains will start positioning himself. But you will see here that there is a very gradual climb in the last 10 kilometers, and that is going to change the sprint quite a bit. It's going to mean some of the lead-out men who would normally be there in the sprint are not going to be there at the end. And it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to bring in the strong men, potentially could suit a Peter Sagan, could also bring in the likes of a Matteo Trentin into it. But for me, well, the betting is probably right. It's potentially a match race between Ewan, who was so impressive on stage 3, and Bennett, who looked pretty good so far in the Tour without winning that elusive stage. So we'll have to see if he can get it. But let's go in and have a look at the betting quickly. This is just popping onto Sunbet. Just the general for classification betting. Roger 11-10, Bernal 11-4. Tom Dumoulin, who lost a little bit of wheel yesterday at the end there, he's 9-1. Pogacar, he's a 9-1 as well. You can get some big prices. I saw on WSB as well this morning. They seem to put some big outright prices on there. Mountain classification, we won't worry too much about that for now. Peter Sagan, he's drifted actually to 7-10 because Bennett is clearly interested in the green jersey and clearly has the beating of Sagan in a sprint. So it's going to all come down to whether Sagan can infiltrate a few breaks in the mountains, which maybe Bennett can't. Matteo Trentin, our podium pick, is still going okay. He's 11-1. He'd need a lot of luck in running to actually win this, but I'm hoping he can somehow sneak into third. And you've got Caleb Ewan there. This team classification is quite interesting. Jumbo-Visma 11-10, but EF Pro Cycling, who were 8-1 before the Tour started, shortened into 5s and are now into 9-4. And if they start focusing on that, they'll be pretty good. Movistar, you could have got 18-1 on them at the start. The team competition is very dangerous because teams' objectives often change, and you've got to be very careful in that. We're going to go now on to I wanted to just have a look. Let's have a look at the stage 5 winner betting, and I'm going to pop on to World Sports Betting for that. We've got Caleb Ewan 2-1. I know Chris Sturdy, my colleague, fancies him, and Sam Bennett 3-1. Now, if you are backing for the win, it's worthwhile taking it at World Sports Betting because you do get money back for second, in particular a stage like this where we've got essentially a likely sprint finish, which means you can almost bank the likes of an Ewan and a Bennett being up there. You'll see I'm taking a bit of a match bet on the stage, but we've got 8-1 and better the balance here at World Sports Betting. But I can tell you my pick, I'm going for Sam Bennett. I've been impressed with him. Yes, he was mowed down in stage 3, but I think this sprint finish is going to be ridden very hard, particularly these last 10 kilometers. And I think that Bennett might just have the stronger legs up the climbs. That's the only thing that's the reason I opposed Caleb Ewan in stage 3. I thought the climbs would be ridden harder. They weren't. But I'm going for Bennett. He's a strong man. I'm keeping my faith in him. We've 1-1 at the moment between Bennett and Ewan, and I'm going for him to beat Ewan. And you'll see I've gone in a match bet as well. And in fact, I found the best price. There was 12-10 last night. But everyone has shortened, but you can get just shy of 11-10, and that is at Bet Exchange, and that is for Bennett to beat Ewan. Let's get into my betting, though. Just a reminder first, maybe of the special back the winner if it comes second, and in this case, Sam Bennett. I'm looking at least if he runs second, I'll get my money back with World Sports Betting. Let's go to the odds. Stage 5 Tour de France bets. I'm focusing in a little bit more. I've been throwing a lot of money around. You know what? You lose a little bit here, you lose a little bit there. At the end of the first week of the Tour de France, you look back and you're in all sorts of trouble. So let's focus in a bit on Bennett. Half a unit on Bennett to win at 3-1 at World Sports Betting. 5 units, yes, 5 units, everybody. I'm a bit on tilt after yesterday's loss. Bennett over Ewan at 1.09-1 at Bet Exchange. And then I've got a little treble I've thrown in there. 1 unit, Bol over Christoph. Christoph, to me, just looks like he's carrying condition. I know he had a brilliant sprint in the first stage to take the yellow jersey, but if I look how he's struggling on the climbs, he just seems to be carrying some condition, and I think he's battling a little bit. So Bol, he's only 4-10 over Christoph. Greg van Avermaet over Alaphilippe, and Mezgec over Venturini. I don't even know Venturini, but I just know I've been opposing him in the match plays with a reasonable amount of success. That is a fraction over 2-1 at World Sports Betting. That then our preview of the stage. It should be a breakaway goes clear, gets kept in hand by the sprinters teams, and we should have a very exciting 10-kilometer drag up to the line. It actually does flatten out in the final bit of the sprint, but I'm hoping that the likes of Quickstep and perhaps some of the other teams like Bora for Peter Sagan really put the hammer down, and that Caleb Ewan's legs just aren't there. Thanks everyone for watching. Just a reminder, if you haven't done so yet, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you don't miss any of our previews. We've also got a Tour de France newsletter. I'll probably be sending my next edition out on a Friday. And there's also a couple of useful links down below, including the Good for the Game forum where other punters place their bets each day. Enjoy the Tour de France, and I'll see you for stage 6 tomorrow.